Welcome to the Vault Podcast, classic music reviews, presented by IV Creative. Now, here's your hosts, B. Cox and the crew.
Greetings and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Vault Podcast, classic music reviews, presented by IV Creative. It's a perspective of the classics from a fresh point of view. We appreciate you for taking your time and lending your ears to our perspective. You could be anywhere listening to anything, but you're right here with us, so we thank you. With you today is yours truly, B. Cox, and with me, I have the crew. Yes, that crew. Yes, the one and only crew. First off, we got my boy. Y'all know him well. You love him. You love the show. Talking about none other than the creator and host of the Raw Sex Podcast, Cousin Damo, a.k.a. Dominique Marks. Y'all make sure y'all check out the Raw Sex Podcast, usually dropping their episodes every Friday now. Y'all make sure go check me and my man out. Lots of good content throughout this year. He is slowly but surely approaching 100 episodes, so make sure y'all look out for that milestone coming up next year for the Raw Sex Podcast. You know, each and every Friday, make sure y'all follow him on Twitter and also on Instagram. He's a great follow, so make sure y'all check him out. And of course, as well, I always have in here my boy in the place to be, J.O. Fellas, thanks for joining us. Been a while, I think, since the three of us have gotten together, since we've all been on a pod together. So, you know how things can go, but I'm glad that we're here because it's the year-end episode. As we always say here in the Vault, our motto is hashtag open the vault, hashtag nothing but the classics. And we've had a stacked year so far this year, fellas. Covering 91, 2001, and 1996 has been no easy feat. And we did it to the best of our ability, as much as our schedule would have permitted. And so now we get down to the nitty gritty. Last show of 2021, the rankings, top fives, and also a top 10 for 91, 96, and 01. We've been waiting for this for a while. I've been plugging this for quite some time. And because of the years that we're covered, and especially with 1996, I knew this was going to be the task, and I know it's going to be something that we'll debate for a while, especially considering some of our different tastes when it comes to hip hop and R&B. So I'm ready to get into it. So we're going to go ahead and get this started and get started off with the first of our years, and we're going to start with 1991 and those albums. Now, of course, we can give honorable mentions and also give our top five of these ones as well. So we'll get into it. Jay, you're first up, man. Let's hear about your top albums of 1991. How did you rank them?
All right, best. So, yeah, for my 91 picks, I did number one, Ice Cube, Death Certificate. Number two, I did Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory.
Okay.
Number three, I did Ghetto Boys, We Can't Be Stopped. Number four, I did DJ Quick, Quick Is a Name.
Okay, all right.
And then number five, I did Gangstar, Step in the Arena.
Nice.
Now,
Okay.
I will say, as far as like just to add to it, like I mean, I was kind of wrestling back and forth with DJ Quick just because of Bomb Bud. Like I think we talked about that before, but it's like Quick, you make it difficult, man.
But that was the only blemish I thought on that album. I mean, I even had somebody on the YouTube channel when they listened to it, they left a comment saying, "Y'all the only persons I've heard. Everybody in Cali liked that joint." I'm like, yeah, I mean. Okay. That's cool. I just didn't fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? I know people might have fucked with it. I just didn't fuck with it at all. So,
I mean, clearly they don't have a large West Indian population out in Cali. So
not like the way they do over here. Yeah, at least not as much. So they do, but just not as much. So you did Ice Cube for number one, the Death Certificate over Low End Theory. Explain that a little bit.
I mean, I guess because like Ice Cube, I mean, because like I don't know if I mentioned this before, I was always like a big Ice Cube fan, and with given everything that went into Ice Cube's album, like even the time frame it came out and like the messages that were on there, like those are things like that really solidified it for the number one spot for me, especially like everything going on from what was going like I think that was around the time like the Rodney King joint and the LA riots or setting up for the LA riots rather, and then just like I said on the joint, we review Ice Cube's joint, like the PSA as far as like, messing with dirty chicks and like the dangers of like STDs and pretty much fucking with hood rats. I mean, that's like a little after school special within itself on that album.
Right,
like,
exactly.
I'm telling you, man, my sons get old enough, I'm gonna play that train for him. Like, look, listen to what he's talking about.
There you go. Listen to the man peeing in the bathroom talking about some shit. Look who's burning. Indeed. Nah, man. Cool. So that's cool. That's Jay's top 5 for 1991. Damo, what about you? 1991. How'd you rank them?
Number 5, DJ Quick. Quick is the name.
Okay.
Number 4, Ghetto Boys. We Can't Be Stopped. Number 3, De La Soul. De La Soul is Dead. Number 2, A Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory, and Ice Cube. Number 1, Death Certificate.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So, interesting top 5. What did you explain yours giving Ice Cube that top spot on that one?
I just felt that was the most classic out of 91 to me.
Okay. Ice Cube.
Yeah.
Death Certificate. Cool.
And I juggled back and forth with him and Tribe Called, but I was like, 3 versus 1, him by himself. I'm going with Ice Cube with number 1. I already knew Jay was going to have Ice Cube number 1.
I think we all did.
That's the other reason why I thought about going Ice Cube number 2. I said just put number 2 because I know Jay about to have him as number 1.
Yeah, indeed. Nah, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, yeah, but I kind of figured that Jay would too. Coming into this, I figured. I was just a little surprised that you had him at the top 2, but it kind of makes sense to me why you would have him at top and number 1 as well. Yeah. It's I think we all kind of had a similar kind of top 5s as well. But yeah, it's you can't argue. I mean, those two, I think generally people will probably put those 2 albums, Low End Theory and Death Certificate, right into their top 5, and probably has them somewhere between 3 and 1 as far as when it comes to the best albums of that year. So I hear that. So my top 5 for 1991. So I actually have honorable mention. My honorable mentions here, I have 3 actually. So I have Cypress Hill, their debut album. Dope album. Obviously, me and Jay did a review for that earlier in this year. I think they kind of helped to kick off that weed subculture even before the Dr. Dre and Snoop made it really, really popular, not even a year later. Ghetto Boys, We Can't Be Stopped, obviously iconic Houston, Texas rap album. Scarface, Willie D, Bushwick, that classic album cover with Bushwick in the hospital, them riding down the hall with him just getting shot in his eye. Main Source, Breaking Atoms. I mean, awesomely produced album by Large Professor. Some really great songs as far as, Another Game of Baseball and Staring at the Front Door. So, yeah, it's some really great ones. Honorable mentions. My top 5. Number 5, DJ Quick, Quick is the name. Number 4, Gangstar, Step in the Arena. Number 3, De La Soul is Dead. Number 2, Ice Cube's Death Certificate. And my number 1 album from 1991, A Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory. So I kind of struggled over this for a little bit because I wanted to look at putting Breaking Atoms, but then when I looked at all the albums of that year, I thought that all the albums were probably better than Breaking Atoms. Breaking Atoms is a great album, but I wanted to make sure I included all those in there. De La Soul is Dead. To me, that's my favorite De La album, actually, even over 3 Feet High and Rising. And Death Certificate was a great album. And Low End Theory, to me, I think that just sort of changed the game. I mean, without Low End Theory, you really wouldn't have a lot of things that, Pharrell said that was an album that influenced him heavily. Same thing with producers like Ninth Wonder. I mean, so Dre also took things from Low End Theory as well to make The Chronic. He definitely took things and methods from the Low End Theory, how they produced and took some of those influences and introduced him to what he was doing in The Chronic. So that's my top 5. So, yeah, I think everyone had a good one. Jay and Damo, to recap, had their number 1 is Death Certificate. I had mine as Low End Theory. I think we all had pretty much the same top 5. Damo didn't have Gangstar, Step in the Arena, but I think we pretty much agreed almost across the board with that one. So, cool, 1991. So I'm going to actually change up gears just because. I'm going to go over actually to 2001, and I'm doing that because this is just another top 5. So we're going to do the 2001 albums, and let's go ahead and see where you all ranked them. I'll start with Damo this time. Damo, for 2001, how'd you rank the albums?
Number 5, Missy Elliott.
Okay.
Missy So Addictive. Number 4, Project Pat, Mr. Don't Play. Number 3, Luda, Word of Mouth. Number 2, Jay-Z, Blueprint. Number 1, Nas, Stillmatic.
Okay. So you had Stillmatic over Blueprint.
Yeah, I did.
You fuck with Stillmatic more than you fuck with Blueprint?
Back then, yeah.
Okay.
Back then, yeah. Now, as a grown man, I will put Blueprint over Stillmatic, but the nostalgia to me, I'm still gonna live in that back then space for 01.
Okay.
And I'm gonna keep Stillmatic for number one. That's how I looked at it. Like right now, if I'm going to pick an album I'm going to listen to right now, I'm gonna listen to Blueprint over Stillmatic.
Okay.
Shit, I might even listen to Project Pat, Mr. Don't Play over Stillmatic.
Hey, that's wild, man.
I laughed and put the cord out. I laughed and pulled the cord out.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so funny. Hey.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I probably listened more to Project Pat, Mr. Don't Play since. Let's even go the last 5 years. I've listened to that more than I've listened to Stillmatic.
Wow.
So, but looking at the list, I would go, yeah. That's how I judged it from my 01 brain.
Got it. Okay. Indeed. Cool. All right. So Jay, what about you? 2001. How'd you rank?
I'm go with Dom as far as like going from the 5 on back. So number 5 for me was Missy Elliott, Missy's So Addictive. Number 4, Ludacris, Word of Mouth. Number 3, Project Pat, Mr. Don't Play. Number 2, I got Nas, Stillmatic, and number 1, I got Jay-Z, The Blueprint.
Okay. Yeah. Pretty much the same one. So as far as like that. Now, explain a little bit about you putting Project over Ludacris's album. What made you go with that one over Luda?
Of course, obviously I rocks with Luda, but like, it's just something about that hypnotized my production and like even Project Pat's unconventional way of storytelling, like kind of put it over word of mouth, like. Slightly speaking from nostalgia, I mean, it's obviously a nostalgic aspect, but just thinking back like 01 and just like riding around playing like If You Ain't From My Hood, You Can Get From Around Here, just like and then like the I think that Break the Law joint, man, that shit when it hit your speakers, like you like a full-fledged riot mode or some shit on that joint.
Exactly right. Indeed,
I was anyway.
Yeah, it brings out some memories, man. That album coming out and. You know, those certain songs hitting your system and they just hit just the right way. You know, that Hypnotized Mind production, DJ Paul and Juicy J. That just, I feel you on that one. So my rankings for 2001, pretty much the same. Number 5, Missy So Addictive. Number 4, Ludacris, Word of Mouth. Number 3, Project Pat, Mr. Don't Play. Number 2, Nas, Stillmatic. And number 1, Jay-Z, Blueprint. And obvious, you know, with me putting it in this, same thing with Project Pat. I mean, the way that the album hit. And it's like, you know, again, I went through a little bit of I actually witnessed this back and forth on Twitter between these two people. And it was during the Bone 3-6 Mafia, versus. The dude was talking about some, I don't fuck with nothing with 3-6 Mafia. That shit ain't real hip hop, all this other shit like that. And I was like, damn. I used to be that way. I was like, that's crazy. And to me, it was just like, I saw him and these dudes, like they was going back and forth. And I'm just like, yo, like it's, once you get down to the nitty gritty of it, it's like, yo, unless you are a really, really, really big hater or you just don't like down south rap music, I don't know how the fuck you can't fuck with Pat, Mr. Don't Play, So, and then obviously with Nas, Stillmatic, and the Blueprint, I mean, I thought that, as we talked about on our review last week, Jay, we talked about, Nas, him this being sort of his comeback album. And I thought it was about as close to being a perfect album set for 2 tracks that we thought could have been left off or could have been replaced with other ones. But it was a really good comeback album, a way for Nas to really reassert himself. And then obviously Blueprint is what it is. It's one of the best albums released in the new millennium. And, when we talk about best rap albums, they're going to be one of the ones that's talked about for a long, long time. So, yeah. Well, now we move over to the year of 1996. And this is 1996. Let me tell y'all, 1996 is so loaded. We had to do 2 different types of rankings for the years. We had to do one for the hip hop albums and another one for the R&B albums. And we had to do a top 10 for the hip hop albums in 1996. So we're going to go ahead and start just with the R&B albums first before we even get to the grand finale of the hip hop albums of 1996. So we'll go 1996 R&B. And we'll start with you, Jay. Give us your rundown of how you rank the R&B albums from 96.
All right, bet. So number 5 I did 112. Number 4 I did Drew Hill. Number 3 I did Aaliyah 1 in a Million. Number 2 was the Maxwell joint Urban Hang Suite, and then number 1 I did Total.
Okay, Total. Why Total number 1?
I mean, I guess because I was like a fan of just like that whole mashup, like as far as Bad Boy with the remixes and just like the style of production. You know what I mean? As far as like I just like how it always came out. Like even just thinking back then, like with Can't You See No One Else. I mean, just like the way those tracks sounded. Almost not to say they on the same level, say like a Jodeci or something like that, but you know how Jodeci kind of had like still that hip hop edge.
Yeah.
I felt Total kind of had that back then too, so I just felt like they just was in the same category.
Yeah. Sure, we said that earlier on this year in that review, right, Damo? We said we kind of felt like they were almost like Diddy's take on what he did with Jodeci. He did that with Total. Yeah, yeah. Well, interesting. That's cool, man. Okay, well, Damo, I know you've been looking forward to this. Listen, hearing yours top 5, man. So give us your top 5 from 96 R&B. Right. I know what's not going to be in there, but yeah.
Number 5, Aaliyah, 1 in a Million.
Okay.
Number 4, 112. 112. Number 3, Maxwell, Urban Hang Suite. Number 2, Drew Hill. Drew Hill. Number 1, Tony Braxton, Secrets.
Wow. Okay. So you had Drew Hill over 112's joint.
Yeah.
You like that Drew Hill debut joint better than 112?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we didn't even get into the topic of what we said that we was going to do that one time.
Yeah,
with
I
the
know.
bonus episode.
Yeah, bonus episode.
The second 112 album I have, which came out in 01, coincidentally, I felt was better than the first 112 album. 2 good albums, but I definitely,
Okay.
Yeah.
True. Indeed. Okay.
And then Tony Braxton.
Yeah.
Secrets was
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous album. It's like I remember when we did that review back in April, and I was like going back and looking at like the things that were written about her first album and that second album, and I was like, yeah, well, the first joint is always going to be really like, looked on favorably by everybody, especially those of us in the black community to listen to R&B. You listen 93, 95 around here, the urban radio stations. And I'm like, the second joint probably is better. I think that's also same thing that sort of talk about with Jodeci, how, everybody talks about Forever My Lady being that album that everybody remembers. But we even talked about this briefly during our review, Damo. We think that, the second joint might be better. Diary of a Mad Band might actually be better than that, So... Yeah, I think it's the same thing with Tony. I think Tony put out a good album with that debut. That's the one that everybody remembers. But I think Secrets might be better. So
yeah, Secrets is definitely better.
True. Well, my top 5. Actually, I'll start with my honorable mention for 1996 R&B. So my honorable mention, I have Total with Total, and then I also have Drew Hill. My number 5, Tony Tone, House of Music. Number 4, Aaliyah, 1 in a Million. Number 3, 112. My number 2, Tony Braxton, Secrets. And my number 1 is Maxwell, Urban Hang Suite. So, I mean, I liked Total and Drew Hill's debuts. With Drew Hill, with me, I liked the debut, but when I listened to it more recently, I definitely looked at the second joint is definitely better. That's their best album out of all the ones they've put out. But the first one was good, had some good songs on it, good singles. I just did the review for Tony Tone, and looking at them and their story and how they ended up getting together, them breaking up. I saw that documentary, the one about Royalty No Loyalty, for Tony, kind of gave me some insight on the group. Obviously, me talk Damo. I love that 112 album. I think it's it's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Their debut. Tony, we just talked about that. And then Maxwell, I just think, man, just thinking about that he was only like 22 or 23 years old making this like grown folks music, like music that we appreciate now being damn near 40. That's music that we would sit and listen to for some easy listening and shit on a night. Is crazy that he would do that. And what that led to for a career, I think it was a great start and getting a legendary career now, what he's done in the last 25 years or so. So, yeah. So my top 5 for my R&B albums. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your main event of the evening. I was talking, and shout out to Sumit Sharma and Chris Mitchell of the Breaking Atoms podcast, and told them we were getting ready to record this top 10 list for 1996. And I remember Chris just told me, like, yo, why would you put yourself under that type of stress? And I was like, you know what, you're right. It was stressful as hell putting this list together. I want to say I agonized over putting this list together for about a couple of days, and I think I changed it probably like 2 or 3 times. I don't know if y'all went through the same thing putting together this list or not, but I think I changed mine like 2 or 3 times.
Nah, I didn't do it because I know I'd have been on that Jones erasing and scratching out, so I just went with it and left it. When I looked at it, I said, "Oh, he said top 10." I said, "Oh Lord," and I was looking. I said, "God, how the." Oh no! And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna write it down and leave it as is.
Wow. It is what it is.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
And then I was like, should I start from 1 or should I start from 10? So you know what? I'm just gonna start at 1 and then go down, because if I start at 10, oh yeah, this is gonna be. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to have some ibuprofen.
Oh man, so. All right, y'all. So look, we'll just go ahead and get on with it, because it's not gonna say itself. So we got to go ahead and get it out there. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and start with you, Damo, since we got that, because it seems like you may have been the most sure on your list. So give me your top 10 hip hop albums from the year of 1996.
Number 10, Redman, Muddy Waters. Number 9, Busta Rhymes, The Coming. Number 8, UGK, Riding Dirty. Number 7, Fugees, The Score. Number 6, Ghostface, Iron Man. Number 5, Outkast, AT Aliens. Number 4, Tupac, All Eyes on Me. Number 3, Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth. Number 2, Nas, It Was Written. Number 1, Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt.
Wow. Okay. And you have Muddy Waters at number 10, all the way at number 10. That's wild.
96 a hell of a year.
It is. It is. And
hell of a year.
And you know what? Part of me is like, I have a little bit of a beef. I mean, this is my beef with you. You putting Muddy Waters before Busta Rhymes. I mean, behind Busta Rhymes. Why?
I felt Busta's more than Redman.
Okay. So that was a personal preference type of thing. Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
True. Okay. And then you had Hell on Earth. You had to rank number.
Come on.
Okay.
I didn't even think you even guessed. You already know.
True.
You already know how I feel about them boys.
Yeah. And
I wanted the Mazda MPV because of them.
Yeah. Not the MPV though. Oh man, they taking it back. Mazda MPV, yo, that takes me back, man. You know what that takes me back to? That takes me back to like riding on freaking 193 passing Lanham 7 Road. Like, yo, that's what takes me back to. That's crazy. Yeah. Wow. Damn, that's crazy, man. Okay. Well, that's a good list. And a couple of things that I'm like, but you know what? The great thing about the show like this, and the great thing about when you go back and talk about these lists and these albums, is that the opinion and the preference plays a lot into it. And so what may be your cup of tea on one thing may be somebody else's cup of tea on something else. So very good list, man. Cool. Well, Jay, you're up next, man. How'd you rank them? Hip-hop albums of 96.
All right, so I might as well stir the pot even further. So here we go. All right, so number 10, I did Roots, Illadelph, Half-Life.
Okay.
Number 9, I did Nas, It Was Written. Number 8, I did Helter Skelter, Nocturnal.
Wow, okay.
Number 7, I did Master P, Ice Cream Man. Number 6, I did Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt.
Wow.
Number 5, I did Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth.
Okay.
Number 4, I did Ghostface, Iron Man. Number 3, I did The Fugees, The Score. Number 2 was Redman, Muddy Waters. And number 1, I did Tupac, All Eyes on Me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't shocked by your Tupac All Eyes on Me.
Okay. That's another interesting list, man. So you had Helter Skelter within your top 10. That's interesting choice, but explain that a little bit.
As far as Helter Skelter being in my top 10?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because, it just makes me think back, like, 96, like, how hard I was cranking that album. And, like, I don't know if we really discussed on here, but, like, that beat minus production.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you know Brian, but like the way that snare in particular always hits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's just something that always just like stuck out to me. And then way Ruck and Rock would go back and forth. I mean, Sean Price, for all y'all that might have been fans later on, but and then just like, you know what I'm saying, being a boot camp click fan as far as like, you know what I'm saying, along with like, you know, say the Woo, whatever like that. So because I know a lot of people were like kind of divided between the Woo and the BCC, but like I thought they were equally as dope. I mean, even though of course Woo kind of won that war, obviously, but
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I mean, that joint definitely stayed in rotation with me.
True.
Excuse me.
Sure. Would you have any honorable mentions for this year, or?
Actually, I did. Yeah, I did have Busta Rhymes The Common and Machiavelli, Don Illuminati, The 7 Day Theory.
Okay. And you had All Eyes on Me as your number one album.
Right.
I'm guessing that All Eyes on Me resonated more with you than Machiavelli did.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know we discussed it on there as far as like that. I just felt like Machiavelli. The thing that kind of like put it at honorable mention for me was like it still had that dark type of feel to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was ominous.
I mean, like banging tracks, but like, you know what I'm saying? It's like I felt like some sinister. Like, should I even be listening to this shit? Like,
Yeah.
I want to see pentagrams or something.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it was an ominous feel to it because you knew he was gone and this album popped up and nobody really knew that it was coming, you know? And I felt like at that time it was just like, oh, Pac got another album out, but ain't he dead? Like, yeah, he's dead, but this is another Tupac album. So,
Right,
yeah.
and I remember like when they advertised the joint, like, you know what I'm saying, it was a commercial and they Toss It Up. Like, it wasn't even like this posthumous release. It's like New Machiavelli, like, you know, he had just came out like everything was just everything.
Yeah,
So it's like
he wasn't even dead. Right, exactly. Yeah, I remember that. I remember the speculation coming out whether or not he was dead or not too during that time. So, yeah. Oh man. So, good list, man. This is
I actually thought you was gonna have Machiavelli in the top 5.
yeah.
I knew. I was like, he gonna go 5. Both of these gonna be in the top 5.
that was the deal breaker right there for me. It would have been had it not been for that, bro. I'm telling you.
Nah, I hear you. Cool. This variety. That's the reason why I like variety. This is why I knew this was going to be good. Okay. So then my albums from 1996. So my honorable mention actually include both Helter Skelter Nocturnal and Busta Rhymes The Comin'. 2 great albums, obviously, but you know, and the last one as well. Actually, in my honorable mention, I have Tupac, All Eyes on Me.
Oh, wow.
And so with me, like we talked about this, Jay. I thought like disc 1 was great, and I thought, but disc 2 was a little bit more. It was a little bit more, you know, some filler. Didn't feel as focused as the first disc. So to me, I always kind of thought like I think it's a great project, but to me, with the other albums that I have in here, I felt these a little bit more than I did All Eyes on Me. So my top 10. Number 10, Machiavelli, Don Illuminati, 7 Day Theory. Number 9, UGK, Riding Dirty. Number 8, Fugees, The Score. Number 7, Ghostface Killer, Iron Man. Number 6, The Roots, Philadelphia Half-Life. Number 5, Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth. Number 4, Nas, It Was Written. Number 3, Outkast, AT-Aliens. Number 2, Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt. And my number 1 album from 96, Redman, Muddy Waters. So just to talk a little bit about my list, I gave you all the honorable mentions. These were the ones that I think, when it comes down to it, the ones that I definitely played the most. And, you know, I wanted to make sure that I got UGK in there because that was an album that, when it came out, I didn't listen to it much. But obviously, from college years on, I definitely regarded that album a little bit more. And then also talking to, you know, Nathan Riddell, the professor. Shout out to my boy Nathan Riddell, Food Dope Podcast, Players of the South. doing that interview with him and also the review for this album, and going back and doing a little bit more of my homework, considering like how they made that album happen with basically no support from Jive, considering that album came out the same day that Beats, Rhymes, and Life from A Tribe Called Quest came out, and there wasn't really any promotion with that and the things that they had to do in order to get that made. Just a testament, basically, man, to their greatness. Roots, Philadelphia Half-Life, obviously a great album. I really, to me, kind of struggled between putting It Was Written over Hell on Earth. I just think that Nas' lyricism kind of puts it over the top, even though the production on Hell on Earth was probably better. And then obviously, I wanted to put Reasonable Doubt as my number one, my number one album, but I just doing that review last week, Jay, talking about Muddy Waters, It just, I really kind of got me thinking like how much I love that album, bro. Like I love playing that shit. And just that,
slap.
yeah, that Eric Sermon production, Rottweiler production, and Red almost at the top of his game, you know, spitting wise.
Skits, man.
Them skits, exactly.
Comedy.
It's like comedy, man. So those are my top 10. So yeah, so there we have it, guys. Those are our list. And now I'm gonna get a list out of these on social media. I'm gonna put it on our website. I'm also going to put it on this Vault website is vaultclassicpod.com. Going to put it on the Instagram page, on the Twitter feed. Going to see what y'all think, man. Those are our lists for 91, 96, 2001. We'll get a recap of the list, and we definitely want to make sure that we hear from y'all and we see what you all think. You can tell us whether you agree with us, tell us whether you disagree with us, tell us you think we full of shit, you know, which I'm pretty sure we'll get a few of these, and that's quite okay. I'm all right with that. If y'all tell us y'all full of shit, it won't be the first time, and it's definitely not going to be the last. So there's our list, man, and this is it, man. This is it. This is a hell of a year for the Vault. I just wanted to take the time to thank all the listeners. And obviously thank my crew members, you know, Jay and Damo here. You know, we started this shit in the kitchen, in my kitchen and shit, at my kitchen table, having a couple of drinks, beers and shit, you know what I'm saying, and sitting there chilling, talking hip-hop music like the way we did back in the day. I said that the impetus for this show was us sitting down at the lunch table. Damo was there at the lunch table. We used to sit there and have these conversations, and it turned into a show that I turned to something even bigger than I thought it would be. So Jay and Damo, like I always like to say, man, thank y'all for, of course, riding it out here with me. The other co-hosts that have joined me throughout the year, Nathan the Professor Roddo, D&T of the Imperfectly Perfect Couple podcast, my boy 12 Kyle from the 12 Kyle podcast. Also want to give a shout out as well to Riri from the New Normal podcast, and also QD and Uche from the Ill-Advised Wise Guys podcast, who did a guest lounge with me earlier this year, man. So, and of course, as I mentioned earlier in the show, a big shout out to the Breaking Adams podcast as well. Got some big things coming up this next year. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned for that. So as we close up, guys, just want to make sure, first of all, that I wish y'all two a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season, Happy New Year as we head into this new year as well. Everybody else out there as well, all of the listeners, make sure that y'all enjoy this holiday season, and y'all also stay safe, stay healthy through 2020, rest of 2021 into 2022. Hey, man, keep people close. Like Damo likes to say, man, make sure y'all reach out, holla at somebody, and make sure you're doing okay. So make sure you take this time to keep your loved ones close, man, and tell them that you love them. And that's going to wrap up yet another edition of The Vault. Please make sure you check us out on our new host on Red Circle. You can also get us on our website, the new website, vaultclassicpod.com. That's vaultclassicpod.com. There, you can go there, see every one of our episode pages. You can also go to each individual page, leave a review, check us out, join our mailing list coming in 2022. You can also leave a voice message in the blue button with the microphone in the bottom right-hand corner of the page. You can leave a voice message. Go ahead, let us know what you think. Show us some love. All of the best messages will be played on the show and, of course, on promo material. So please make sure y'all come through. We do it here all for you. We appreciate the support. And if you have a friend, tell a friend, and make sure that friend tells a friend. Always remember to keep your headphones on and your music loud, but not too loud. And as we close for the year, we'd like to remind everyone to dream big, because dreams are the basis for creation. Always create, motivate, and elevate, because you were never destined or created to stay stationary in this life. And on that note, we say peace.
Thank you for listening and coming into The Vault. Please subscribe and visit us at vaultclassicpod.com. That's vaultclassicpod.com.